And the reason we're doing a while loop is because usually when a user runs a calculator, they're not just doing it for like one quick calculation, right? We need a while loop so that it's going to continuously ask the user for what they want, like what method they want to run until they write something where it's like, okay, I'm done using the calculator. Now let me out of the code. So we're just going to quickly have a while. Oh, whoops, I think I'm in caps lock. Yeah. While run is equal to true. So while this Boolean it stays true, we're going to continuously run all of the code that we are about to type. So again, we're just going to organize this a bit and we're going to label end while loop. Yeah, okay. So now we're going to have system.out.println. Please enter which operator you would like to use. And we're going to give them the options between the addition sign or the subtraction sign or the multiplication sign or division. And we're going to give them an additional option called exit. And we're going to use exit if they want to leave the loop. Oh, whoops, undo. Okay, if they want to leave the loop. All right. Now we're going to go back to this operator string. So operator is equal to word scan dot next line. Okay. So now again, we're using the scanner, right? So whenever we use the scanner, we're asking the user for something. So in this case, we're asking them operator, right? So string. So they're going to put in one of these options, and that's like we're asking for them, which of these options would you like? And again, we've kept it a string so that they can type in the word exit physically and also use the different symbols on the keyboard. Okay, now we're going to need a bunch of if statements because in this case, we're either going to have if they answer this, else 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 if they answer this, right? So we're going to need multiple if loops in order to determine what they wrote and what method to call according to like what they wrote. So we're going to start off with if operator dot equals, and we'll get into what dot equal really quickly means, plus. Okay, so operator dot equals. So dot equals is it's sort of like its syntax as well. So when you have a string, you can write the string name dot equals, and then the computer is going to check for whenever the user wrote something, does whatever they wrote equal this? So it's like a really useful method if you want the user to put in something super specific, such as in a calculator, when we're asking them for like a specific symbol, it's going to just check if it equals the addition sign. And then if it does, then it's going to run that specific loop. And we're just going to set up all of the loops first before we get into the actual calling methods. So then we're going to have else if operator dot equals subtraction. Right, perfect. Then we're going to have else if operator dot equals multiplication. And then we're going to have else if operator dot equals division. And then we're going to have two more. So we know one of them is operator dot equals exit. Okay. And you know what? Right now, we're just going to leave it at that. I'll show you guys why we need another one. But for now, we'll just stick to these. So now what we're going to do is call methods for each of these specific symbols. So if they do the addition sign, we need to call add, right? If they do subtraction, we need to call subtract, and so on and so on. So what we're going to do is, if you guys remember from the PowerPoint, is we're going to call the method in a print line statement. But what we're going to do is, to make it more cohesive for the user, we're going to quickly write a line like your answer is, and then we're going to add, add. So what this means is we just called the add method right here. So it's going to say your answer is, and then it's going to return the result right here. So it's going to call add, it's going to look through this and it's going to be like, oh, it's giving me the result. So then it's just going to write the result right here. And just on the side, we're just going to keep the addition method. And underneath this, this isn't really necessary, but I just like to do it. We're just going to quickly have a print line statement just to keep things organized for the future, because since this is looping back and forth, this blank print statement is just going to allow like a space between the different, like if they run the calculator back again, it's just going to keep like an extra space so it looks more organized. So now again, we don't even need to retype everything. All we do is copy this, paste it here. Oh, whoops, that looks bad. There we go. Okay. All right. And then instead of add, we're going to do subtract. And then again, this is the subtract method. All right. We're going to do the same thing again. Control C, Control V, and we're going to multiply and then multiplication method. And finally, divide. So if you guys are noticing, a lot of this is just copy pasting, which again, isn't like, that's not what coding is. Obviously, you have to do more than just copy pasting. But once you understand how your code runs, it becomes a lot easier and faster to just do multiple things, right? So just keep in mind that understanding the code is just as important as writing it out. Okay, and then for the exit, what we're going to do is, again, we're just going to write a quick blank line. Then we're going to have a little greeting. So, or not a greeting, sorry, like a little goodbye. System.out. We're just going to say, thank you. Have a great day. Right? And then this is for exit. And then what we want to do is, as we know, we're currently coding all of this inside of a while loop. So if they exit, that means that they no longer want to run the calculator. So we have to set run is equal to false so that it exits this while loop, because this while loop only runs while is equal to true, right? And we have that set up from the start. But if we tell them, okay, now run is equal to false, then it's just going to stop and it's just going to exit the code smoothly. Okay, so now just with this, we have a few things to add, but just with this, let's just see where we're at. So run file. All right, welcome to the simple calculator. Please enter which operator you would like to use. So let's just do multiply. Okay. It says I chose to add. Wait a second. Oh, there we go. So when I copy pasted, I forgot to change each of these. You chose to multiply. Yeah, you have to be careful with this when copy pasting, because oftentimes you have small things for each code. All right, now it looks good. All right, let's run it again. Run file. All right, which operator? Multiply. There we go. You chose to multiply. So let's just do 5 times 4. Perfect. Your answer is 20. And does the 0.0 because it's a double method. It's just the way it sort of works. And as you can see, it quickly looped back. So let's just try addition this time. 100 plus 23, 123. Let's try division. 45 divided by 5, 9, perfect. And finally, let's just try subtraction. 5 minus 2 is equal to 3, and let's exit. Perfect. So I guess the code runs, but not exactly. Because remember, when we're trying to create a program, we want to make it as smooth for the user as possible. So one thing that we are sort of missing is if we run the file and the user accidentally writes something like they put a bracket symbol, right? It just sort of loops back and it's not super cohesive with the way it's working, right? Like the user would be like, what's sort of going on, right? So what we want to do is make sure we let the user know that they're doing something wrong instead of just continuously looping. So we're going to add on to these multiple statements, and this time we just need an else, because if they write anything besides these symbols, we know that it's not meant for our program. So what we're going to do is inform the user by saying, this is not a valid input. Perfect. And then again, just below it, we're just going to quickly do a println line. There we go. So now this is for random inputs. Okay, run file. So now if I put in like this, this is not a valid input. And then it's gonna be like, okay, so what I put in was not correct. So now I'll do something properly. And now technically we are done the calculator, but if any of you have done math and you maybe caught this mistake, one thing we forgot to take into account is in division, there's a specific thing that we can't do, and that's we can't divide by 0 because it's just mathematically inaccurate, impossible. So let's just see what the computer does if we do divide by 0. So if we do divide, so if we do 5 divided by 0, it says your answer is infinity, which does not make sense at all, right? Because it's not supposed to have everything. So this is sort of a cool thing, or like sort of just weird, but Java has like this pre-built system where if you do divide something by 0, it automatically just says infinity, because in a way that is correct, but it's also incorrect. It's just the way like computers think. So we obviously don't want this here. That's like super, it's just inaccurate for like a calculator that a human's going to be using. So what we need is within our divide method, we need to set up our own while loop. So we're going to just take it right here. Whoops. So we're going to set up a while loop right here. And what we're going to say in the while is while number 2 is equal to 0, and we're just going to end while loop here. Okay, so while number 2, so the second number the user's inputting, is equal to 2, we're just going to tell the user that please enter another value for the second number, and just quickly in brackets, I'm just going to write not 0. All right, you never know. And this is if 0 is placed as the denominator. Perfect. And I cannot spell today. Okay, perfect. And now below this, while we are in a while loop, what we want to do is ask the user for number 2 again, right? If we're telling them it's wrong, we should probably give them a chance to put in another value for number 2. So now this should work perfectly fine. Let's just test it really quick. Divide. So 5 divided by 0, it says, please enter another value for the second number, not 0. And just one thing I want to quickly fix is instead of doing this, we want to keep it consistent on the same line since we've done that everywhere else. Divide 5, 0. So, okay, perfect. Please enter another value for the second number that's not 0. So if we do 2, your answer is 2.5. And if we exit, perfect. Right? Now everything's working smoothly and you've just created a calculator. Yeah, that is the end of our second exam. And let's just go quickly into the next slide. All right, so thank you all for attending. And just like last time, I quickly added a link here for anybody interested looking more in depth into any Java syntax or transcripts. It's all on this link. And the second link is to another project that I've done. Like all of these are displayed on like my GitHub, if any of you are like curious to go back and look at it in case you weren't able to code along. This second project is called a home Reno calculator, which we didn't do in an example today, but if any of you want to challenge yourselves, it works really similar to the simple calculator, but it's a lot more complex with more like theory and mathematical stuff. So if any of you want to take on the challenge, you can just search up my username on GitHub and I think it should be there. Besides that, yeah, I'm all good.